One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.
You are a former student athlete yourself, former baseball player at St. Leo down in Florida, and that wasn't too many years ago, of course. As a former student athlete who's not that far removed from their playing days, maybe not on the scale of an Arkansas or an SEC institution, but how do you relate to this effort for the student athlete and what kind of value it can provide for them and their voice as they mature through the process of being a student and an athlete?
Yeah, so I think I can relate fairly well because the time that I was a student athlete was really right at the beginning of the shift in the industry when a lot of thought shifted to how we can provide more benefits to student athletes beyond the scholarship or beyond the traditional scholarship. So right when those conversations started happening, I was kind of in that student athlete mode. So now being out of that, I think I'm able to really express how strongly I feel that our student athletes should have that opportunity. And just because of the current landscape of the industry trending negative when it comes to what we're able to offer student athletes, this is something that is incredibly valuable, beyond the playing field and even beyond the classroom. This is an opportunity for them to voice their opinion on something unrelated to sports if they choose to do so, and really position themselves in a way that they're able to brand themselves. We always hear that term when it comes to social media, but I think this is something even more powerful than that if they choose to write a story on something that they feel passionate about, then that could really help them in the future, from a personal branding perspective.
So I think one question a lot of people around the industry have on this front, myself included, Taylor, is the words we see on the screen that are attributed to one of your student athletes. Give us a sense of how much guidance you're offering the student athletes who are participating in the Voices series.
Yeah, it's a good question. It really has kind of varied with each of the individual stories. Going back to the first ones that we did, those started, at the keyboard or pen of those players, and were edited for grammatical editing and things like that. Now, as we started to do some of the senior send-off pieces, some of the student athletes preferred to do more of an interview session, where then the story would kind of just be transcribed. What they talked about in their interview session would go to the paper. Now, in all of these scenarios, the student athlete has had editing capabilities. Even on the ones where we started with an interview setting, they've been always sent a draft, and they have made changes, which is really one of my favorite things to see, is when they see it and they say, oh, I wanted to make sure that this piece got in there. Can we word this like this? I feel really strongly about this being in here about my coach. We need to include that. Things like that have really been up to them. It is absolutely their thoughts and feelings unfiltered.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.